So let's look at a few examples of how we write numbers and how we can represent them and think about them. So in this example, it says to write a number, to represent the quantity that's given to us. Okay? So what's given to us is a profit of $250. Okay? Remember that word profit means that you made $250, right? That you would have a positive $250. So we could write that maybe in a couple different ways. It depends on your situation. You may write it with like a positive plus in front of it, and so it's plus 250. Like that could represent a profit of 250. Or normally we don't write the positive symbol, okay, in math, or definitely not in algebra, and so we would just write 250. Okay, so either one of these would work maybe in this situation. Because it depends on, if you're working in finances, you may put plus 250, but in algebra, we would just put the positive 250 without the plus in front of it. Let's look at this next one. Same thing, write a number to represent the quantity 18 degrees below zero. So like on a temperature gauge, thermometer, you're looking at it, it's super cold out, it's below zero. How would you write that? How would you represent that? Well, we'd represent that with a negative number because things below zero or less than zero are negative numbers. Okay? So we would have 18, but we'd put a negative in front of it to represent that it's below zero. Okay, so you see this number line here. It's got 0 in the middle, and then as it goes off to the right, it's got increases into positive numbers. And it goes off to the left, decreases into the negative numbers. So the instructions here are to write the number represented by each point on the number line. Okay? So what number is represented at A? Well, we can see on the number line that A is -4. Okay? A is -4 right there. And B is -1 right there. And C is +1 right there. Okay? So that's just making sure we can read a number line and understand how to write those numbers. It's also important, just if you think about it, if you're 0 here, okay, and then you go in the positive direction, you're going this way. If you're in the negative direction, you're going that way. So once we start to add and subtract numbers and work with negatives, it'll be important to keep that number line in your head. It's okay, which direction am I moving? How much am I increasing? How much am I decreasing? Let's look at some absolute value problems on the next page. So this tells us to simplify the expression. So remember, if we're simplifying, we're put something in its simplest form, okay, usually down to a single value. So here we're given the expression, the absolute value of 7. Okay, remember these bars. Okay, these bars represent absolute value. Okay, that's what they're indicating. So when we're looking for the absolute value of 7, remember we're looking for how far is 7 from 0. So if I think about on a number line, how many numbers or whole number integers are from 0 to 7? It'd be 7, right? Okay, 7 is 7 from 0. So the absolute value of 7 is just 7. So these bars are telling me to do the absolute value, to find the absolute value of what's ever inside of them. Okay? And so it's telling me how far is 7 from 7? How far is 7 from 0? It's 7. And so the absolute value of 7 is 7. Let's look at another one. Simplify this expression. What is the absolute value of -13? Okay, so absolute value of -13. We've got our absolute value symbols here, and we're going to find the absolute value of -13. Okay? So how far is -13 from 0? Well, same thing if we're thinking about a number line. If we start at 0, and then we go down to -13 in the negative direction, how far is that from 0? Well, it's 13 from 0, right? It's 13 jumps. If you think about it as a number line, if I go back here, right? So if here's 0, and then here's -5, how far is -5 from 0? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 jumps. So it would be the same thing for -13. How far is negative 13 from 0? Well, it would take me 13 whole number jumps to get there. So the absolute value of negative 13 is 13, because that's how far it is from 0. Let's look at a couple more examples of different things that you might see. All right, so simplify this expression. Okay, so we have the absolute value symbols with 5 in it, so we're finding the absolute value of 5, but we also have this negative symbol out here. So the negative is outside the absolute value, so we're going to do what's inside the absolute value first, and then we'll apply the negative to it. Technically it's being multiplied to it, but we can talk about that at another time. So we have the negative absolute value of 5. So first, I'm not going to do anything with the negative yet, so I'm just going to leave that negative there. But what is the absolute value of 5? How far is 5 from 0 on the number line? Well, it's 5. 5 is 5 from 0 on the number line. And so we didn't do anything with the negative symbol, and so it just stayed there. And so we have negative 5. So the negative absolute value of 5 is negative 5. Right? This would be our final answer. Let's do one more. So this simplify this expression. We have the negative absolute value of negative 10. So the negative absolute value of negative 10. So again, let's start with what's inside of the absolute value symbol. So how far is negative 10 from 0 on a number line? How far is negative 10 from 0? It would be 10, right? Negative 10 is 10 away from 0 on a number line. And so the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. But we still have this negative symbol out in front of the absolute value sign that we didn't do anything with, and so it comes along as well, and so it's still there. So the negative absolute value of negative 10 is negative 10. So we're just trying to get comfortable with working with these numbers, working with negatives, absolute value, just to get a good understanding of what's all going on there. And how to think about that. Numbers, there are a lot of things we can do with them, and so we want to make sure that we understand what is it that you're looking at when you're looking at these expressions, and how do you simplify them, evaluate them, and understand what's there.